This is the Dreyer Drive podcast, a podcast all about siblings and the people, places, and pop culture that raised us. And today's episode is an episode from the vault, an episode that we recorded just before Christmas of 2024. And the reason you're getting one from the vault this week is because last week when we recorded our episode, Jacqueline did not record her audio. So let it be noted for the record that Jacqueline is the reason that you are not getting a fresh episode this week. This week's episode is all about the Earp family. You know Wyatt Earp, but you might not know the rest of his family, so we're going to take a deep dive on the Earp family. But before we get there, I'll share a story about going to a Costco that was recently opened in Okinawa, and Jacqueline will give us some insight into how her family, or how Jacqueline, approaches finances for her family. And as always, we'll wrap this episode up with an unhinged text message from a family member. Let's get into this. All right, well, we'll just rely on technology to do its thing.
Yeah, it hasn't ever failed me.
No, not once. It's always been super reliable, very predictable.
As your printer turns on.
My robot vacuum starts.
I got a new robot vacuum that is a lot more vocal than my last one, and I regret everything.
What when you say it's more vocal, it just gives like more like I'm coming around. Does it talk like it's in the show The Bear? Corner.
It tells me what it's doing all the time, and I'm like, you can just do it. Actually, you don't need to announce every time you're gonna clean. You could just start. You actually don't need to like starting, cleaning, repositioning. The bin has been open. I'm like, okay, I know I'm taking the bin out, so you don't need to tell me that. Like, I'm aware.
It acts like any one of us when we're staying at a friend's house and over announcing things so people don't think we're rummaging through their secret stuff, damaging their property, just announcing where you're going and what you're doing at all times.
This made me think of it. Do you guys do sleepovers with Noah? Like, is Noah allowed to have sleepovers?
People are allowed to stay here.
Yeah.
So I've the TikTok and Instagram posts around not allowing sleepovers they're just burned into my brain. Like I will be everybody is welcome here, and you know, sleepovers can happen here, but I don't think she's going to be going to people's houses. To the point, I've thought it through. I've already thought it all through. So I thought about buying a couple of cameras for the house, and when people sleep over, giving the like stream link
feed.
to the other parents, being like, all right, hey, just so you know, you can check in anytime. You'll be able to see what they're doing, what they're eating, how they're playing.
Then, of course, putting on a little show the whole time so everybody can see what a good parent you are. Would you guys like more popcorn? I'd say, but the second time I would forget about it, and it'd just be me and Seiko fighting, screaming.
Yeah.
No, we don't do sleepovers. But when I think about how often we were just sleeping at other people's houses as kids, like you wouldn't. Like, sometimes I don't think I would tell mom if I was sleeping over at people's houses. I would just assume she would figure it out eventually. Like, that's how
you're not there in the morning.
Like, where's Jacqueline? Like, oh, I'm sleeping on the Weiss's floor.
There was one point where I think I was like in grade 10, maybe grade 11. The teachers went on strike. They're just like, we're not teaching anymore, and you guys can figure out what to do. And so they went on strike for weeks, months, I can't remember, but I just went to a friend's house, the Babcocks. I went to a friend's house for just 2 weeks. I just didn't come home for 2 weeks. And we just like,
fine.
Yeah, just swam in the pool, ate cereal 3 times a day, hung out in the hot tub. That was it.
Like,
I think
teachers being on strike was the best thing that ever happened.
It was the greatest thing that happened in my life. I think their grandfather, he had something to do with like designing water slides or something like that. Like, if I remember correctly, it was something to do with like he designed or helped build like water slides or whatever. And they had this thing in their pool. So they had this big pool in the backyard that was an L shape. And it was really big, but across one of the sides of the L, there was a giant foam roller. And so you would get on it and you would try to like American Gladiator style, like joust each other off of this thing into the water. We just did that for every day from morning till night. And then night hits.
Do you remember the game we used to play at the McDougal's pool where we would have the inner tubes and we'd all run one after another and just we'd put the tube on our butt, run, and jump in. And as soon as one jumped out, the other one would get out and run and jump until like half the pool was outside. Like, they would get so upset with us because they were like, the pool's on the patio because we were causing so much splashing between the four of us.
Yeah. We were like, this is so much fun. Just fully not understanding that they have to fill up with water after. Just fully not understanding money. This all costs money. Now that's how I look at everything as a parent. I just look around and it's like these lens of how much things cost.
Cool. This is fine. Not only that, we probably were sleeping over at the McDougal's at the time, eating all their food and then splashing all the water out of their pool.
They did have really good snacks and
Best snacks.
And cherry cola.
Yeah, they were the best snack because they always had individually packed snacks, which was something that we didn't have. We were a bulk family, right? We were stick your hand in and grab a handful of something, but the McDougal's always had individual like snack packs and Dunkaroos and stuff, and like that like would blow my mind.
Everybody gets their own thing.
And toaster strudels over Pop-Tarts, which was really like a distinction. Like, we were also a Pop-Tart family, as referenced before. So was the way we eat Pop-Tarts on the discarded episode? I'm afraid it was.
I don't know where that is. I actually don't know where that one is.
So,
but we can
just
as maybe referenced. We might as well drop it in here as well. And if we get to it before, then I'll just cut it out.
Well, I learned from this podcast that we both have a really strange way of eating Pop-Tarts, which is that we both nibble the outside dry part first until there's no crust on it, and then we slide the two pieces of Pop-Tarts apart slowly, so then we can scrape the jam
with our top teeth. Just leaving 2 tire tracks.
So weird. And to think that I've been doing that for 40 years of my life. I assume that I was eating Pop-Tarts from the womb. But since I'm doing that 40 years of my life and not realizing that someone else in my family did the exact same thing, I'm like, this is such an odd thing to do. And you're like, me too.
Such a scarcity mindset also. Just leaving the good stuff for the last because it might be the last time that you get, just letting it, and you need all of it. You can't have it mixed in. You want it just like pure. You want the pure, unfiltered gel or cream or jam or whatever it is.
What I don't know if I would call it jam.
Sugar.
Fruit-flavored filling.
Sugar with gelatin.
I do. Is it a scarcity mindset? I do that with a lot of things where I deny myself things specifically because I'm afraid that they'll get like used up. I even do it with songs. Like, my favorite song in the entire world, I don't put it on any playlist. So that if
that's actually called psychosis, I believe. I believe that's called psychosis.
I just want it to be at the point so that anytime I hear it, I'm always like, oh, this is my favorite song. And I'm always surprised by it. So like, I don't allow myself to just listen to it randomly. It's only for like in a grocery store or it's my favorite song of all time is U2's With or Without You. And
are you serious?
100%. It's my number one favorite song of all time.
Not a bad song. I'm just surprised that's your favorite song.
Probably dating back to all those dances that we went to where that was the only song, that and Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls was the only 2 songs played. And I specifically liked With or Without You because I knew the timing of it so well, and I remembered exactly like to the minute that the bridge and how long the bridge was, and I could time, like, if I wanted to dance with somebody, I could specifically be like, oh, I'll wait until With or Without You because it's a long song. Or if I With or Without You, if those opening bars, the dee comes on, and someone is walking towards me that I didn't want to dance with, that I could leave to the bathroom because I'm like, oh, I do not want to be tied to this person for 4 minutes.
I love that you explained that you somehow cracked the code to With or Without You timing, like you're the guy from A Beautiful Mind on the window. You're like, doing all these complex you're literally just, I think the song is going to start now. It started. It's going to be a couple minutes. Okay, the bridge.
Pause.
It's like, what? You did not figure any of that. That's just how a song goes. You just explained the composition of any song ever. It starts, there's some words and music, there's a bridge. There's some more words and music, and then it ends.
Me looking at the Winamp player, being like, pause, exactly 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Write it down. Scribble on a notepad. Well, it's funny. We were just talking about the scarcity mindset and We were just talking about the scarcity. We
got-
just tuned into the
we
Scarcity
got
Mindset podcast. Just the opposite of what people tune in for. Because people are really here for abundance mindset, our regular default setting. Anyway, I don't know. By the way, you're going on. I literally was just sleeping in a parking lot minutes before. Literally, I was sleeping in a parking lot. Seiko's dad is in town, and so there's been a lot of shopping, and they just had to go get something. I was driving, and they're like, "Are you gonna come out?" I'm like, "I'm just gonna sit here," and I'm like pretending to check my phone. They left. I was like. in an underground parking garage of an electronics store, and then now you got me. You've got me.
3 minutes later, you're like on the horn, as they say.
This is my way of telling everybody that you're getting this is how I prepare for the podcast. I'm just I've got notes over here, and I'm just ready. But so we came home, I made a coffee, and so in Okinawa last month they opened a Costco. And it was a very big deal.
I saw Seiko's post and I was like, is that a Costco?
International news. A Costco is now open in Okinawa. The opening weekend, there is a 5-hour car wait to get into the parking lot where you had to wait for multiple more hours to find a parking space. So like people went, I think they were lining up the night before at 4 p.m. to get into Costco. And so anyway, so I went to Costco, and there's a couple things I noticed about Costco in Japan. One, I assumed that being in Japan, that it would just follow all of the other social norms that Japan has. Like, for example, you are very polite. You let people go in front of you. You wait your turn. You bow and apologize if you even slightly inconvenience somebody else. But once you get in through the doors of Costco, all of those things disappear, and you might as well be in Utah.
Like isn't Costco like international waters pretty much?
It's international waters. Costco is international waters. People are bumping my car. I think they must have like studied. I think they're like, is this how you Costco? And then now like, this is how we do it. I've been to one in the US. They're smashing carts. They're taking stuff out of my hand. They're laughing at crying babies. I'm like, where did I just arrive? But so all of this to be said. And there's one other thing I said. There's two things that I noticed. So one of the things is that it's international waters, as you said. All bets are off. Japan custom, tradition, history, culture dissolves at the doors. The second thing is 90% of the people are there for the food.
Like the hot dogs?
Yes. Which I can understand if you start your day off with a gas station gallon of grape soda. I can understand that.
I do.
In Utah, it makes sense. It's like you go to the gas station, you get your, what are they called? Bubbas or something?
Bubba keg.
You get your Bubba keg of grape soda, and then you head to Costco for some nutrition, right? Like I understand that's the checklist. Japan has the greatest food in the world. They have the most Michelin star restaurants in the world, and
but
people
they have a Costco chicken bake.
But people are lining up for a sweaty hot dog with no condiments.
A dry, sweaty hot dog.
Just raw dog and a dog. Wait. Please that might not make it.
No, we're gonna get put on a list. Please don't.
I'm keeping it in just to see if we can slide it past. But.
Please. Okay, definitely keep it in. Let's go.
So, that also. I think I pulled a muscle in my neck.
I'm gonna throw up.
I literally just pulled a muscle in my neck from laughing. You've just tuned in to the That's What She Said podcast. That one's coming.
We're gonna do this the entire time.
Oh, this is great. So what was I saying? Yeah. But I will say this, all of that to be said, I had to, the day before, I was like, you know what? I'm going to register online so that like when I go to Costco, they just have to take my picture. I'm good to go. that logic was not right because I had to wait in line with all the other people who were getting their membership anyway. It would literally save zero time. But while I was waiting in line, Seiko and her dad and Noah, they left to go and get some food, and I just hung out in the line with Naya. And Seiko came back and she's like, "Oh, I got you some Costco food." I'm like, "Ugh, like save it." She goes, "No, I think you're gonna like it." And it was a bulgogi sandwich on a cheese baguette.
Okay.
It was so good.
I know. I was like, I like where this is going.
It was so unbelievably good. And then I was like, I get it now. I would line up for this. I would probably line up for this. Not for hours, but for minutes, I would line up for this.
Costco and I have just a really fraught relationship. Like, I understand the need for Costco, but I get so intensely overwhelmed every time we're there. I do not like people talking to me without ample notice, and when those women are always there hawking the samples, I find it extremely upsetting because they're like, "Do you want to try this? It's really good." And I'm like, I'm good actually, or I will not try it because I will never take a sample, but I will still buy the thing because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Because you happen to walk by the person who's just working.
It's just like a nice old lady named Dorothy, and I don't want to say no to her because I feel like it's going to ruin her day. So I've come home from Costco with so many things that I'm like, well, this is going to go in the cupboard and never see the light of day again because I just was trying to be polite. I was trying to do it the Japanese way, I think, this entire time.
It's not, yeah, you've definitely been doing it the Japanese way, but out here, that is not how it is done. Let me tell you, I was so surprised. And then when I was waiting in line to get the membership taken care of, it was pretty, like I was there for an hour in line, literally, like there's no exaggeration. And in front of me was an older Japanese lady. She must have been, I don't know, 80 years old maybe. And then she was with her daughter, and then her daughter was with her son. So three generations here in front of me. And I'm with Naya, and I'm by myself. And so I see the older lady, like she keeps like looking back and like shoulder checking Naya. And then she turns her body like halfway around. And then eventually she's just fully staring at Naya, like, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take Naya out just to show her off a little bit. So like I take her out, and I'm holding her, and Naya smiles at everybody. She's the happiest little baby. She's just smiley. So she's smiling, and now the grandmother's like so delighted. And the older lady starts squeezing Naya's legs because she's so chubby as well, right? So it's like,
they're so good.
Yeah, like, oh, Muchi stay in there. Like they're just like pulling on her legs and squishing them or whatever. And then finally she was like, is it okay if I hold her? And I was like, and all the alarms were going off like inside head. But then I was also in like the social thing weighed in, like, okay, I either have to say yes and like appease this person and like, because they want to, or I have to say no and then stand in line with them after I just rejected them from holding my baby. And I looked at her, and I looked at her daughter, and I'm like, well, her daughter looks like a normal person. And even the daughter was like, Mom. And I was like, I guess so. So like I handed the baby to this complete stranger in a Costco line, and she's like, oh, and she was like, oh, she's really heavy or whatever. And she held her for like 30 seconds and passed her back. And then I told the story to Seiko later in the day. I was like, yeah. And then the old lady asked if she could hold Naya, and she's like, did you let her? And I was like,
no.
This means I shouldn't have let her hold her.
So what I'm getting here is that you don't want me to say yes.
I'm like, okay, lesson learned. I'm like, I let her hold her. She's like, what? Why? She's like, you, who's so obsessed with safety, just handed our baby to a complete stranger in a Costco. And I was like, she was with her daughter, and her daughter was with the son. Like, what?
I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Like, so they kidnapped the baby. Like, that's not, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings in the process.
Yeah, what? I don't want to be responsible for that. So anyway, so that was Costco. But I will say, going all the way back now to the snacks, because this is the whole thing that set us on this tangent. I don't know if they have, I'm assuming they have it because I believe it's an American snack. That's the other thing. There's so many American like things in Costco. It's Costco. There's just Costco stuff. But we bought these, the sugar cones, and at the very bottom of the sugar cone, there's a little bit of chocolate, and you're getting just the bottom of, do you get these?
Exactly what you're talking about. Yes, absolutely.
So we bought some. We bought everything. We bought all of Costco. We bought everything in Costco. We brought it home. And just before, I kid you not, 5 minutes before this podcast, while I was making my coffee, I looked at our snack rack, which is just literally a Costco store right now. It's so much
and everything,
stuff.
There's 36 of everything.
Yes, 36 of everything. And there's 3 people that can actually eat the food in this house. One person who actually will. And so I look at this and I pick it up and I'm about to open it. And like, for some reason, it just kicks in like, no, I can't just open a new package of snacks in my own house because nobody has given me permission to do this. And so like, I put it back and Seiko's like, what are you doing? She's like in the kitchen watching me. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I was going to open it, but now I'm making an excuse in my own house of like why I'm not going to open it. I'm like, I was going to open it, but you know what? Like,
wrestling with this decision?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to. I don't need that. I don't need to have chocolate. She's like, they're yours. You can open them. And I was like, I don't know. And I turned around, I was like, I don't know why I do this. I was like, it's like I'm a kid and I'm like, got to ask mom. Mm-hmm. Like, you cannot open an unopened thing at 26 Dreyer, right? Because it's it's like a zebra carcass in the middle of the jungle with hyenas around. Really good analogy for that, by the way.
Excellent. Zebra cakes.
Yeah. But that's, so you like couldn't open a new package, right? You just have to wait till like mom
someone
opened
did it. Yeah, I guess. Or Daniel did. Usually Daniel.
Yeah, it's usually Dan. Yeah, you'd find it in his room 6 months later and you're like, this is where this went? So yeah, so that's basically how I was just before this. I'm like, she's like, they're yours. Like, just open it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And in that moment of empowerment, I opened it.
I am a strong, independent woman. And I comes.
In that moment of independence, I opened it and then offered it to Seiko and her dad first to pretend like I wasn't doing it for me. I was like, shh. I was like, Seiko, do you want one? She's like, sure. She took one. I was like, hey, like, Dad, you want one? He's like, what is it? He's like, no, I don't want that. I'm like, all right. Then I guess I'll eat some.
I'm curious if they have the same name in Japan that they have here.
It's all packaging's all in English. Like, it's like, we ate the rest of the cones so you don't have to, or something, like on like a.
Oh, here there's a brand of those called Just the Tip.
They do.
So I'm like, are they in Japan? Are they still called that?
Probably because of the just absurdity of English in Japan, right? Like the credit card company,
Moist Diane,
the shampoo and conditioner, Moist Diane.
I was like laughing to myself this morning. I was on Amazon just doing my morning perusal of Amazon daily deals or whatever, and I lost it because I came across a Japanese shampoo and conditioner set called Moist Diane.
Diane.
Of course, I immediately screenshot it and sent it to you guys, and you were like, I literally just saw this.
At Costco.
Perfect.
And I said it, and for people, go and Google this. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes. But if not, go and Google this. It's in like a brandy glass, like a brandy bottle. It looks like
beautiful packaging.
It looks like a bottle of like, you know, when you see those movies and they're in like a lawyer's office and they walk to the corner. Yeah, the bar cart. They walk to the corner. They take off the glass top and they pour a couple of glasses of scotch. That's what kind of bottle the shampoo and conditioner's in. And so we were walking through Costco, and there's a giant one, and I made a joke to my father-in-law, asked him if he wanted a drink. And we both laughed, and it was funny.
Of Moist Diane.
I was like, would you like a drink of Moist Diane?
I really do. I want to buy a set and put it in our guest bathroom and just like see if anybody says anything about it.
I was going to say, maybe I'd bring some back for you, but it seems like you can get that yourself on Amazon.
On Amazon. Yeah, and it's Prime, so I'd get it by tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's a little bit quicker than me buying it, waiting 2 weeks, getting on a plane, flying to mom and dad's, and then flying on another flight to Toronto 2-3 weeks later to see you. So yes, I think that's a fast story.
Honestly, one of the best gifts I've ever received was last year. You sent us a box of Japanese snacks for Christmas, and there was probably 30 different types of snacks in there, and that is my most favorite thing is trying snacks. And my family gathered around this box, taking little nibbles and rating them and stuff. I was like, this is a subtle hint of what I want for Christmas, but the box of snacks, I don't want anything else but a candle from Seiko and a box of snacks from Japan.
And just let the people know, what was your favorite snack in that box?
It was what was it called? It was like it's a chicken flavored snack. It was a
Big
chicken
Katsu.
flavored it was
Big Katsu.
It was like a chicken jerky, I want to say, kind of like a dried chicken patty in a pack. It wasn't refrigerated or anything. It was just like in a regular package.
So I think a lot of people know like what katsu is. Katsu is like a panko crusted pork cutlet that sits on top of rice with some like sauce drizzled on it, and then you eat that. What Jacqueline's referring to is a Japanese snack that is like a super shriveled up, dried version of like of this katsu, of like a pork cutlet. That's but the flavor is so spot on. Like you eat it, I'm like, I might just put this on top of some curry. Like this is really good.
Those were the ones that went like out of everything in that box. I ate like, you probably sent like 4 of them, and I ate them all within 2 days. I love them. There
will be some in the suitcase accompanying us to Canada this year. Don't worry. We'll do a big snack haul, and we'll bring some out there to replicate what we did last year and look to avoid some repeaters. There'll be lots of new stuff in there.
I'd bring you some from Utah, but it sounds like you have Costco hot dogs and ice cream cones.
Yeah,
so
we've got sweaty wieners and just the tip ice cream.
Why is America like this? What country that I live in? Why are you like this?
No, but I think I don't. Obviously, that wouldn't translate. Like they're just going to say it with. They're going to assign Japanese pronunciation to just the tip. But there's English used here all the time. We've talked about it before, where it's close and the sentiment is there, but it's just a little bit. So I just applied for this new credit card for my work credit card, and they sent me my application package in the mail, and I turned it. I got the envelope and I turned the envelope around, and it just says, "Have a good cashless."
I will have a good cashless.
Wasn't on my radar. Yeah, that wasn't even on my radar. But now I'm here, and I will have a good cashless. So.
Well. Happy for you and your cashless situation.
That's what I'm here for.
Sadly, my scarcity mindset does not apply to credit cards.
That's just nothing but abundance.
I'm abundance and not real money. I'm like, this is pretend, right? I'll never see this. It's a number. It doesn't matter.
You know who sees it? Justin, every month, where he's like, what is this?
One of the best things that we ever did we've been married for almost 22 years now, which is insane. But the first year of our marriage, after realizing that we were not financially compatible at all, we've had separate accounts since then.
We are oil and water.
We're like, this is not going to last if we have to share a bank account. And we haven't since, but Justin still does have to pay my bills. That's the way it works. We have separate accounts. His is the account where he knows what's going on at all times, and mine is just like the Wild West chaos of a bank account that he has to come in and clean it up once a month when I'm done.
And I assume there's some ridiculous purchases on there, I also assume, if you're anything like me, there'll be ones on there that are so 39 cents. You'd be like, you used your credit card for a 39-cent purchase? What is wrong with you? Because I do that all the time.
I don't want to pull out money and make a big thing about it. I was reading that actually I was worth years ago when they were like, oh, the best way to manage your money is do everything in cash, because when you spend stuff out of a credit or debit card, you don't physically see the money leaving, and therefore you'll spend less of it. But I was the opposite, because I'm like, if it's already out of my bank account, it's free. So spending cash was way worse for me, because I was like, well, it doesn't affect what Justin sees when he goes to pay my bills later. And so if it's in cash, I spend like a monster.
Yeah, this has already been entered in the ledger. This is in the ledger. This money has already been taken out. It's already been assigned to me.
He knew this was going to happen. Yeah, when he handed that money over, he knew exactly what was going to happen. And I was going to spend it all within 2 days.
Yeah, we do the opposite. So we have joint accounts, and but when we were living in Canada, and I would just like to take a note before I go into the story that there is a statute of limitations that I will be applying to the story. But Seiko was doing eyelash extensions out of our living room. She's really good at it. Some of her customers, by the way, like I'm talking high profile.
It was,
Like
it
literally,
was Drake.
no, there's like Japanese celebrities like getting their eyelashes done in our living room sometimes. But anyways, so she's doing eyelash extensions out of our house, and it was all cash. And so I remember like I have this financial advisor, and I'm like, hey, we also have this thing where like Seiko makes all cash, and he's like, spend it. He's like, spend it all. Use only cash every time when you can. And I was like, say less. And so there's like 8 years of that. And
just have a stack of cash in your
always.
apartment.
Oh, yeah, always just a little stack of cash. And that's a really hard habit to break, though, when you've been like, we've got to spend it. We've got it and we've got to spend it. And then
they told us to.
My financial advisor told me to spend. Like, that's how I worked it down. It was like, spend the cash that Seiko's making from customers for doing eyelash extensions. And over time, it's just spend it.
Speaking of statute of limitations, this is my statute of limitations money story.
Hit me.
I was just reading an article the other day that was said like Gen Z kids have been running this scam where they learned that they could deposit an empty envelope into a bank machine and say there was $500 in it, and it takes several days for the bank to catch that, but the money was readily available to them in those several days so they could spend it. And they were like, this is the newest scam. I was like, newest scam? I was doing that in the year of our Lord 2001 for years when I was living in Ajax as a teenager. Once I learned that, it was like a glitch in the Matrix. It was endless amounts of money that I had to then pay back to the bank when they caught me doing it. But
what a great time
to be alive.
What a time. Yeah, like what a great time to be alive. Like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was the Wild West with technology. There were no like safeguards in place. People were trading online. They had $0, but they were trading millions of dollars a day. Like basically writing IOUs to the bank, being like, no, if this doesn't hit, I will owe you.
And I was doing that to buy a juicy sweatsuit.
And well, we know that the yellow Adidas superstars where they were paid for by Loblaws. So
I had yellow Adidas superstars. The juicy suit was yellow, and then those yellow vinyl pants as well. It was my brand.
Am I picking up on a theme? Am I picking up on a theme here?
And a yellow
Big
bucket
Bird.
hat.
It's Big Bird. You were Big Bird.
Meanwhile, but blue sunglasses, so I look like Millhouse.
That's good too, because I think that story was told in last week's episode.
It's fine. I got over it. It's not like I've been nursing that.
Harboring it.
25 years.
For dozens of years.
The pain. Every time I watch The Simpsons, I'm like...
I was watching other podcasts and I realized that we've talked about our pattern. Like our pattern is like start the podcast, make fun of ourselves for doing this podcast and how we approach it. But then I realized that actually only one of us approaches it like that, because I was watching, I forget which podcast it was. And it was on YouTube. I was watching it. It was the Conan O'Brien podcast. So I was watching the one with Larry David.
Yeah.
And everybody had notes. Everybody. And I was like,
you're like, oh, okay.
It's like, when you show up to something and nobody told you that you needed to bring something for that thing. And you're just like looking around being like, was I supposed to bring something? I'm like, wait, everybody has notes? Like not just like one person, or there's not like a director in there. It's literally everybody sitting at the table had notes. And I'm like, do I need to start making notes?
Even Conan? Did Conan?
Yeah.
Did the talent?
Yes. And they're all holding pens. They're all holding pens, like crossing stuff off. Like, yep, we did it. We did it. Hit this point. They're making notes while other people are speaking. And I'm like,
I had to so every 2 weeks I run an on-camera interview with one of my clients. He is an expert on this thing, and that's what like his company is built around, basically, is like his expertise in this subject. And so my job every 2 weeks is they assign me a topic to talk with them, and then I have to keep him on track and like herd him into something that is usable, I guess, like a little sheepdog. I'm like, okay, so if we were going to rephrase that into something that, like, you know, whatever we're actually talking about. But the panic that is, just know that the entire hour and a half that we're on the entire time, it's just one long panic moment for me trying to think of my next question that I'm going to ask him, because I can't really prepare for it because he's kind of all over the place. I never know where it's going to go. Kind of like this podcast. And so,
which is, the whole time I'm listening to this, it being like, hold on, so you keep him on track. Okay. All right.
I'm different in professional life. Yeah. And so the entire time he's talking, I'm not listening to anything he's saying other than like, what can I do? What do I say next? What do I say next? Usually he's really good about going on for like a 15-minute uninterrupted tangent where I don't have to think of anything. But I'm constantly scribbling down notes because he'll say something and I'm like, ooh, that's a good, like, I can springboard off that. But then 15 minutes later, we're nowhere near where we started. I'm like, okay, I'm just crossing things off as I'm like, well, this doesn't make any sense anymore. I'm like, try something else.
Just bring it back. That's one thing that I've learned from this podcast. It's never too late to bring
You're
it
really
back.
good at that.
When I'm like, and remember we were talking about snacks 15 minutes ago? Let me tell you, I bought some snacks.
And our abundancy mindset is just all the
manifesting
topics, all the time.
So yeah, I have a question this week. I have a question this week.
Right off the top of your head, like this?
Right off the top, just right off the top of the dome. And just for full transparency, because we like to keep it 100% open and transparent on this podcast. I literally just typed something into AI to get some questions for this one. Jacqueline and I went through a list of 15 questions and we are choosing the one because neither of us prepared for this. We were choosing the one that we think might be the best for today. And so the question is, Jacqueline, what's a skill you learned as a kid that has surprisingly come in handy later in life?
You know, I'm glad you've asked. Actually, as soon as you read this question out, I'm like, I know exactly what it is I am a really good liar. And I think most of it was because I was trying to avoid getting in trouble as a kid. So I lied a lot. And I'm very good to the point that sometimes this is my scarcity mindset. I really have to hold myself back because sometimes I'll tell a lie without it's not necessary or even like realizing that I told the lie. But, you know, we did it a lot around our peers, I feel like, because I wanted to explain things about like why we were different or why we couldn't attend things. I would make up a lie about it.
Why our friends saw us marching around as a family in the living room through our giant open bay window. And
the thing about me being able to lie is that I could lie very confidently, and it's like we've talked about it as a family. The metaphor I always use is pizza day at school. There at our elementary school, there was a day once a month that was pizza day. You paid in an envelope to do pizza day, and pizza was delivered. You get a slice of pizza and a chocolate milk delivered to your classroom. Pizza day was a big deal. But, you know, there's 5 of us. We're a big family, and pizza day wasn't always, like, feasible. And so instead of just being like, I'm not going to do pizza day this week, I would lie about it and be like, yeah, I'm going home. We're actually doing a full pizza party at our house. Like my extended family's coming. So just like really cool teenagers are going to be there. And
Bono from U2 is flying in.
U2 is coming. And also like my mom's getting us all our own pizza. Like we all get our own pizza. So it's like, why would I get one slice of pizza at school when I could have a whole pizza to myself? And then I'd go home at lunch and eat a bowl of cereal like every other day.
Try to catch the last 13 minutes of The Price is Right.
or Sailor Moon. And so I'm a good liar. I remember one time I wanted to make Jonathan and Dallin a box TV. And so because they wanted to be on TV. So I took a knife and I was going to cut out a screen of a TV so they could go inside the box and pretend and do a little show, because that's what our family loves to do, put on a little show.
Metaphorically, literally.
Show, and I could be like, look at you, you're on TV. And so I was probably only 8 or 9 at the time, and I took one of Mom's kitchen knives and I had my hand placed down on the box and I was cutting through the box stabbing up and down. This is my motion. And I sliced right through my hand. And instead of being like, I need help, I need to talk to an adult about that, I was like, oh, I'm going to get in so much trouble. So I just left. I ran up the stairs and hid in my room, and I was bleeding profusely everywhere. And I almost got away with it, except Daniel came out of his room and he was like, why is there blood all over the stairs? And Mom's like, is someone bleeding? And I had to come clean. But, hiding things and lying about them, I was good at it then. I'm good at it now. I'm good at having those credit card purchases too. Let's be honest.
I was just gonna say, I was waiting to wrap it up to be like, and this is why Justin has to run the cleanup.
And it comes in here. I guess now we get to frame it as storytelling because it's 2024 and everybody's like, live your truth, whatever your story is. And so now I'm just like, we're really good storytellers, but it grew
Wait,
out
so
of
your truth is a lie? Sorry, hold on. Live your truth. It's just all lying. It's all lies. That's my truth.
But I'm like, I think that the ability to tell stories is born out of the necessity of telling lies as a kid.
Well, this sucks.
Were you gonna say you were gonna
Yes, like literally, I don't have a lot of my list of talents is very short. Things like skills that I picked up along the way. There's not a lot. Like there are not a lot. Storytelling is one of the things that I think that I like picked up as a child that I could hold on to and announce as my unique thing, the thing that makes me who I am. But
do you feel like yours was specifically like because you were really good at lying originally? Like I think you've always been like a kind of a storyteller. Like that's kind of I feel like that's been your role in our family too, is you're the kind of person who gets the ball rolling when we're around the dinner table and we're ready to like bring out the greatest hits.
Well, I've said it before. I'm a volume shooter. I put up a lot of shots. I just put up a lot of shots. I said, have I ever told you about the time I went to Costco? Everyone's like, what do you mean? Like we do every week? I'm like, but mine is special. Let me tell you why when I go to Costco, it's so much more special. First of all, it's in Japan. All right. I go to Costco in Japan.
Yes, but.
Yeah. So, but I think that storytelling, I don't know where. So, as the only published author in our family, right? I just want to get that out there. I'm a published author.
Which is genuinely upsetting because I am a professional writer.
But so am I. As I have a book that people can buy.
Not. It's different.
I am a professional writer. I have a book with my name on it that people can buy in bookstores and on Amazon. But anyways, at the dedication, I believe, in that is to Seiko. So that's not what I was trying to say. The last page where all the thank yous are, there's a thank you to Granddad. Because I don't know if you remember this, but when we were like, I would have been maybe like 8 maybe, and Dan would have been like 10. So from like 8 to 10 years old, that time period, on Sundays, Mom would just like tell us to walk to Nanny and Granddad's house and like just hang out there. And I'm sure Nanny and Granddad hated it. Like just an 8-year-old and 10-year-old show up like, hi.
Entertain us, please.
And the way that Granddad would entertain us is he would sit us down at the kitchen table and just tell us story after story after story after story. And so like I wanted to hear and I wanted to hear them again. Like I wasn't like, oh, the story's done. Let's like, okay. And I'm like, tell it again. And he's like, okay. He finished up like, tell it again. Like I just wanted to hear the stories. I think that's why I like movies so much. I do like reading as well.
Okay, well.
But I see it in Noah a lot as well. We've talked about this. Every dinner time, she's like, tell me a story. And she wants to hear the same stories. And we add to them and we alter them and stuff like that. But it's something that I don't know where or how, but it's something that I picked up as a kid and I just went with it. To the point where like, when I was in high school, I remember like looking at like the course curriculum and being like, okay, attendance, 5%. I'm like, okay, that's out the window. It's like a couple of tests, 10%. It's like final presentation, 50%. And I'm like, then I don't have to do anything. Like I can just show up on that last day, do the presentation, and I'll get a good grade because for some reason I picked up this ability to like tell a story in front of people and do it. This is where the overlap is with you. Do it so confidently when like the whole time inside I'm like sweating, panic attack, just like this is. But outside I'm like, an eagle is a big, magnificent bird. Like, people didn't know that. I love going back to the grade 8 graduation speech that we talked about.
Victorian speeches.
Yeah, like, what an obvious thing to say, right? Like, the ocean is vast and wet. Like,
And
okay,
like, lock it in.
yeah, they're like, tell us more. This kid has a talent. And all of this to be said, we might be interpreting these things as talents, but to the outside world, everyone's like, this,
Like,
let us tell you.
Oh my gosh.
As an actual storyteller, you have nothing, right? Lawyers are looking at Jacqueline being like, we know everything you say is a lie. We know. Everybody knows.
I think this, like, I guess we're really good at knowing when we need to turn it on to impress people. Like, the razzle dazzle that we can pull out in front of people. So our dog, Penny, beloved Penny, has been really sick. We were out of town. When we came back, it was clear that she was really sick. We had to take her to the emergency room in the night, like flashbacks, PTSD to Erin the cat and her eyeball. And she had to be admitted. She's been in the pet hospital, and they think she'll be able to come home in a couple of days, but it'll be a week that she's recovering. And it was totally traumatic. Me and my daughter, it's my daughter's dog, it's Addison's dog, and we had her I was honestly worried that we would have to put her down. And I was like, Addie, you need to come with us to the animal hospital, because if you will never forgive us if you didn't get a chance to say goodbye. Like, this is what I'm thinking. I didn't tell Addison that. I wasn't like, your dog's probably gonna die.
You got to get in this car, because today might be the last day.
This is it for Penny. And so that's what I was thinking. We're crying like the whole way over there. We're crying the entire time. The moment that veterinarian steps into the room, the ability for me to turn sad Jacqueline off and turn like extremely capable business Jacqueline to talk to another like we're both professionals here. We can talk about this, but like it's disconcerting for people who were with me at the crying part, because to see me like snap into like, so what are we looking at here? Is this prescription long term? What are her hemoglobin counts?
What's her white blood cell count? Like, we don't do.
And then the moment
they
leave,
things.
I'm like, so horrible. And why? Like, why did I feel like I'm like I recognize the vet as like someone that I needed to impress with like my knowledge of taking care of dogs. Like, I don't like, it's so inconsequential, but it's like a oral report, giving a presentation all the time in all areas of your life. You're like, this is my moment. This is when I shine.
Everybody will remember this for the rest of their lives. Are you ready for this? It's like a grade 10 math presentation.
And the teacher's like, not even listening. They're like, please just sit down.
We've had enough.
I don't get paid enough to deal with your ego.
We know where you're going with this. I'll give you the grade. Just stop.
Please.
And then we start a podcast and we're like, let me tell you about my talent.
Does anybody want to talk about their special talent? I'll go first. These questions are so obviously a chance for us to do exactly what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, that was a very self-fulfilling question. We both chose something that allows us to talk about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, just
really a
perfectly,
tail here.
perfectly aligned to everything we want to talk about. It's like, what would you say you're good at?
I really hope people don't think that we prepare for these questions at all, because if it does, we sound like narcissists to the 10th degree.
That's why I went out of my way to say that I have no notes. I come into these podcasts. I told everyone I was sleeping in a parking lot. Now, 27 minutes ago, I was sleeping in a parking lot, and I'm now on a podcast. Also, today when we were driving to said parking lot, I had this week's episode on. So this week we released the Alcatraz episode, and I listened to it at like 1.75 speed, which is, let me tell you, that is and I use it. It's like a brain exercise. It's like, what language are they speaking? It's just two auctioneers at 1.75. But Seiko's dad was sitting beside me and he's like, you guys talk really fast. I'm like, no, I've got it sped up. And then there's this point where we were doing the Alcatraz thing and you are giving the facts of Alcatraz. And we know how these episodes go. Like, you take the burden. You take the majority of the work for those segments where you let me know what we're talking about and run me through the facts or whatever. And he's like, first he goes, this woman really likes to talk. And I'm like,
well, she does.
She does. He's like, this woman really likes to talk. And Seiko's like, Seiko goes, that's Ryan's sister. And he's like, oh, it makes sense now. Like he's like, it all makes sense.
I remember one of the first times we ever met Seiko, and we were having one of our big family dinners. And when the 5 of us are in one room, and it pops off, like it's going really fast, and we're talking over each other quite a bit. And I remember looking at Seiko to just be like, how is she even dealing with this? And she just kind of was like, she just leaned back in her seat like all the way, because we were all leaning in, of course. That's also
she's the opposite.
Take up a lot of space.
Yeah, she's the opposite. We're the gas, she's the brake.
We're physically taking up a lot of space. And I remember looking at Seiko, and she's just like leaning back, and she's just kind of like, what? She was looking kind of like ping-ponging back. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, she's going to be all right.
She's fine by us. She's not participating. She's sitting, she's leaning back. She's not getting in the way. This is what we want in this family. Fill out your applications now.
I was like, propose to this woman. She is for you.
All right.
Okay, well, luckily for Seiko's dad, I do have something to talk about today.
All right, hit me with it.
Today we're going to talk about the Earps.
The what juice? The wits?
Earps. Is this not a familiar name for you, Wyatt Earp?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Wyatt Earp.
Why didn't you lead with that instead of the Earps? Why didn't you lead with the actual name that most people would associate with that instead of some ambiguous word that could have multiple spellings? In my brain, I saw URPS. I'm like, the Earps? Burps without a B?
Yeah, it's spelled. I watched Justin was actually watching it. This is like a 6-part miniseries on Netflix all about the Earp family. That's what I'm saying. And there's more than just Wyatt. Wyatt was the most famous, but there are several Earps. And I was like, oh,
which is a weird sentence to say.
There were several Earps.
There were multiple Earps.
Unsung Earps out there. And I was like, oh, I want to do this for the podcast. This is perfect for it. And then like a week later, you and I had a break. And a week later, I was like, oh, I'm going to watch that show. So it was like the night we were supposed to record. I'm like, I'm going to watch that show that you were watching to get ready for it. Justin was like, it's 6 1-hour episodes, Jacqueline. You cannot watch 6 hours in the next 1 hour.
Wait, why not?
Okay. Like, I'll just watch it on 1.75 speed. It's fine. But, so a lot of this is coming from that miniseries, which is, I fully recommend. It's called Wyatt Earp and the Cowboy War. It's on Netflix right now, and some other sources that I'll put in the show notes.
So just so we can be sure, when you say a lot of it comes from this Netflix thing, can we get a percentage?
I would say like 90.
I would say. You're basically just telling us what you watched last week. You're like, let me tell you about these people that I know, and you're just explaining the show.
And now they are very special to me. So Wyatt is one of the Earp children. There are 8 kids. There's 4 full-blooded brothers and 1 half-brother. And I love their names. There's James, Virgil, Morgan, Warren. Those are the full-blooded brothers. And then their half-brother, Newton. I'm like, oh, Newton. The others are like known for being like the coolest cowboys in the West. And it's like, and I'm Newton Earp. And it's like, Newton. It feels like a Disney Channel show to me, like Newton Earp, and it's just like the misadventures of the half Earp brother.
He just doesn't have any of the skills or powers that the rest of the brothers have. He just got the short stick, and he's Newton.
He's just like really into science.
Yeah.
So when Wyatt is 8 years old, the Civil War breaks out, and his older brothers go to fight in the Civil War. They were on the right side. And they fought in that army, and while they were gone, Wyatt kind of took it upon himself to be like the caregiver of his younger siblings, and he spent a lot of time at 8 years old learning how to shoot a gun because he was worried about people coming onto his property, and he felt like that was because he was the oldest brother left at the time, that was his job. They grew up mostly in Illinois. This is 1864, and 4 years later they move around a little bit. They come back to Illinois, and they are working on the railway there. And about 1820, Wyatt gets married to his first wife, who almost immediately gets pregnant and passes away from her pregnancy. And Wyatt kind of, rightfully so, kind of spins out after this. And he starts, like, his first thing that he does on record against the law was that he stole a horse. And then he's spending like all of his time gambling. He's in saloons a lot. He gets arrested several times for being with prostitutes. And Wyatt's just having a real hard time right now. But everything turns around when he's 23 years old. So he has a couple of years where he's just like out there rabble-rousing like a cowboy.
As you would, like.
Yeah. Who among us, right? In 1874, he actually helps a sheriff track down a wagon thief, and the sheriff is like just really just to be nice, to be a good guy. The sheriff's looking for a person, and Wyatt's like, I can help out. And the sheriff's like, you're really good at this, like you should become a sheriff or a lawman. And so that's what he does. He becomes a lawman, and he's also Virgil and Morgan also become lawmen. Virgil becomes a U.S. Marshal, and they all move together to the town of Tombstone. I went through a weird period of my life where I watched Tombstone like once a week for several months. So a lot of this is also coming from Tombstone.
Now this is where we switch from a Netflix series to a Hollywood produced.
So they settle down in Tombstone, the brothers, and that's where they meet Doc Holliday. Are you familiar with that name?
Yes.
That's one of their gang is Doc Holliday, and also a man named Bat Masterson, who is also a lawman.
Bat Masterson.
Like, what a cool name, right?
Okay, Mike Dyke, you are out.
Sorry, Mike Dyke.
Bat Masterson is number one for greatest names in history.
So Virgil becomes the constable of Tombstone, and Morgan and Wyatt are like deputized as peacemakers, like official peacemakers. And like the Earp boys are the law of Tombstone. Now, at the same time, there's this group of men called the Cowboys, and Cowboys was kind of like a derogatory name back then because it referred to, they were out there stealing cows. So that was like their main source of income, was that they were stealing cattle. And so there was a group of cowboys who were led by a man named Ike Canton. And originally Wyatt saw them and was like, no big deal, I can actually use these cowboys. There was a really bad stagecoach robbery, and he told Ike, if you can help me get a hold of the people who did this, I will give you some of the ransom money. It turns out the person who did it was dead. And so Wyatt was like, no can do, buddy. Because Ike was like, where's my money? And Wyatt was like, I can't give you any money. The guy's dead. And so that started kind of like a all-out war between the Earps and the Cowboys.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so after that, Ike and his crew, the Cowboys, threatened to kill the Earps multiple times. Like, they're really upset that they feel like they got slighted from this ransom money. The Earps, for their part, decide that they want to make Tombstone a gun-free zone. They decided they wanted to make it illegal to enter the city limits of Tombstone because there was a lot of gun violence in Tombstone. Rightfully so, they were like...
They should have started by changing the town name. That's maybe the way that you wanted to approach that. It's like, welcome to Death Town. No guns. No guns here. We're a dry town. No prostitution. This is the safest town in USA right here. Gun Town.
Yeah. So the Earps are like, new rule, everybody, no guns in Tombstone. Obviously, the Cowboys are not okay with this new rule. And the Earps hear that the Cowboys are in town with their guns, and they're like, okay, we got to go do our job. We're lawmen.
Not in Tombstone.
And they actually have Doc Holliday come along with them, too. So it ends up being 4 Earps and Doc Holliday against 6 Cowboys. And from what I can glean from my various sources, again, the movie Tombstone and the Netflix documentary narrated by Ed Harris, the Earps were not expecting to go into like a gunfight. They kind of thought the Cowboys were going to give them some trouble and then kind of leave town.
Wait, did they bring knives to a gunfight?
They actually brought guns to a gunfight. Appropriately. Nobody knows who took the first shot, but at the end of the shootout, it's a famous shootout. It's the shootout at the OK Corral. It lasted 30 seconds, but by the end of the shootout, 3 of the Cowboys are dead. And the Earps are fine, and Doc Holliday is fine. Virgil has been shot, but it is not a life-ending injury.
Just a scratch.
Just a little scratch. Wyatt is fine as fine can be. Fine as fine. What?
It's from his journal. He said, "Today I was in a gunfight, but I am fine as fine can be."
Why do I forget metaphors every time we record? It's like I've never heard one before. Anyway, Wyatt is fine. And that's part of like the Wyatt Earp lore, is that he always escapes these tussles completely unharmed. So these 3 Cowboys are dead. One of them is Ike Canton's little brother, Billy. And Ike Canton is obviously very upset. And what he does is he has the mortuary build half coffins that are open from the waist up. And he does this because he then puts the 3 dead bodies on display with a sign that they were shot dead in the streets of Tombstone. And he dresses, I mean, they look really good, right? They're all in their Sunday clothes, as good as a dead person can look. They're in their
They're wearing their Sunday
clothes.
best.
And Billy was quite young, so Ike uses this to kind of propagandize against the Earps, who are supposed to be the law in this town. You know, he's saying like they gunned down these 3 beautiful innocent boys who are now dead because of the Earps, and he has the actual sheriff of Tombstone arrest Doc Holliday and Wyatt because he decides that those were the 2 actual shooters that killed these 3 people.
And I guess it's really easy to get some support in this, because if they're pushing for Tombstone to be a gun-free town, and the ones that are pushing for it have now shot 3 people dead using guns. You don't shoot people with knives, you shoot people with guns.
It doesn't look great.
Yeah, so it's easy to garner support. And everyone will forget, and I'm sure there's an exact parallel to a recent election in a country that we all know, where people forget that the other side was actually showing up there with guns first. And the Earps are like, "You're here with guns? Well, it's time to put this to rest." And they take care of business. And now Ike is out there being like, you see what these guys are doing?
And Ike, for everything that I read about Ike too, like Ike was a terrible person, and he was constantly just, he shot many people. He was constantly robbing stagecoaches. He was probably the one who robbed the stagecoach that he wanted the ransom for. And so the Cowboys were a menace. So there was like people who were like, good riddance to the Cowboys. And yeah, people who were like Team Ike, the Earps are out of control, because there was 3 Earps. One thing that it said about them is they were all quite tall and imposing. And so to have a whole town, it felt like they were kind of run by the Earp brothers, which also honestly cool. The documentary that I watched, every time they're like walking down the street, it has like cool like guitar riffs in the background. I'm like, oh, the Earps are so cool.
And the noise of the spurs.
Yeah. So Doc Holliday and Wyatt are taken in, and they are jailed for 16 days. But after the what's it called?
Dust settles, the sentence, the trial.
After the trial, they are cleared of all charges. The sheriff is Bat Masterson, who is one of my friends. So
how do you find the defendant? He's innocent. He's innocent. Let's go home. And
a few months later, Virgil is walking home from the saloon, and he's shot in the arm and wounded so badly that he will have that. They said he's wounded for life. Basically, he will always carry that. Nobody knows who did it. Nobody sees who shot Virgil. But a day later, Wyatt swears in as official U.S. Marshal.
Hey.
And this is important to remember, that the day after Virgil shot, Wyatt's like, suddenly I need to become a U.S. Marshal. Just a couple months later, Morgan and Wyatt are playing pool at a pool hall, and Wyatt bends down to shoot the ball cue. Wyatt leans down to play pool, and Morgan is shot through the window of the saloon. And there's 2 shots, one that goes through Morgan, one that goes above Wyatt's head because he leaned down at the right moment. Morgan is killed in that shootout, and Wyatt survives. Again, Wyatt survives with not a scratch. And at this point, rightfully so, Wyatt is pretty upset about the way things are going. Like, it's pretty clear that his family is being hunted by the Cowboys.
Sure.
So he asks Virgil to take his family and then also Wyatt's girlfriend at the time on the train to California. He was like, it's not safe here. I'll take care of it. You take the women and go west. While they're at the train station, someone tries to shoot at Wyatt, and Wyatt turns around and hunts down the man he thinks he did it and kills him in cold blood, like literally while he's lying on the ground, like being like, please, Wyatt, no. This is what happened.
Please, it wasn't me. This is Jacqueline making up. Yeah.
Really, facts are important to me. So
it's in my notes.
And after he kills this man, it sets off what they call Wyatt Earp's vendetta ride. Again, so cool. All of this, so cool. Like, I don't condone gun violence at all, but, like, all of this just is, like, the coolest cowboy stuff ever. So, Wyatt, in this vendetta ride, as a U.S. Marshal, in an official capacity, goes and hunts down one by one every person who was a member of the cowboy gang, except for Ike. By the end of it, he's killed all remaining members except for Ike. And he's like literally chasing them from town to town and picking them off. As Wyatt is chasing them town to town, another posse is hunting Wyatt because they're like, guy, you can't just like run around killing people as a U.S. Marshal. Once they get to, this is all happening in Tombstone. Once they make it to like Albuquerque and Wyatt's like, my job here is done. Everybody at Ike is dead. He sends Doc Holliday on his way, and Wyatt, they kind of break up. Doc Holliday is later caught and jailed, but again, Bat Masterson to the rescue is like, he's
in like Batman.
That's what they called him.
Really?
Just kidding. I made
that's made up too. I imagine this like I imagine Wyatt's like adventure, or this, what do you call it? The
vendetta ride?
The vendetta ride. So I imagine his vendetta ride is like the scene from Forrest Gump, when Forrest Gump is running and there's all these people following him and he's not really tuned into it, and then one day he just stops. He's like, I just stopped running. And there's all of these people behind him. I imagine Wyatt's like, and I'm done. And turns around, there's all these people, except in this case, they're hunting him.
And I just think it's like a testament to the Earps, like just the way they were, that like Wyatt was like, I'm done now. And they're like, all right, Wyatt, like, we're good. We're done. No harm, no foul. Wyatt eventually obviously leaves Tombstone. He says goodbye to his friend Doc Holliday and Bat Masterson. He moves to Colorado, back with his family, and lives out his days with his brothers, Virgil and his other brother, Warren. They have a number of jobs, but eventually Wyatt lives long enough that he becomes
an old person
who is a consultant on his own movies about himself.
No way.
So the first silent Western movies were about Tombstone and Wyatt Earp, and he moved to California and became really good friends with directors and actors, and they used him as a consultant to make his own movies. And he died in his 80s. Not
bad, Wyatt.
When interviewed about this whole thing and what a mess it was, he was like, I'd do it over again. Like, I feel like I did a great job there. Ike ended up dying not long after this all happened in a shootout where he was trying to steal something and he was shot dead. So I feel like Wyatt got what he wanted and was like kind of like dust his hands off again. This is me just like narrating a movie I've seen. It's just like dusting off, being like, my job here is done, and like going on to live a long, happy life with him and his girlfriend.
Yeah, I see him hanging his chaps up, taking his cowboy hat off, right?
Like
or
rodeo.
Or him sitting on the porch of a log house, sipping some coffee early in the morning, watching the sun rise in the desert.
In the Netflix documentary, they end it being like he shoots out. They're doing a big shootout, and then a director comes in and is like, cut! And it pans out, and Wyatt, the person you saw doing the shootout, was an actor, and the real Wyatt Earp is like sitting in a chair being like, yep, that's how it went. And then the show ends.
I also feel like I think this ties into a little bit around our question for this week, because what if Wyatt is actually just a master storyteller? What if none of this happened? Like, I think it's pretty unfair that he's like, sorry, are you looking for an expert on my life? I got you. Let me tell you how it all
I
went
would
down.
love to be an expert on my own life.
Let me tell you how this all went down. All right, I've got you. And then just makes everything up. I want to find out. I want to watch that documentary where they find out that Wyatt Earp just lied about everything.
So,
all of this
so again,
is made
that's
up.
what we are doing here.
Yes.
Is we are making a job for ourselves where we are consultants on our own paths and being like, yeah, it's just two delusional people being like, totally true.
Telling the story
exactly
of our lives from our perspective.
That's how it was.
People listen to this from our past. They're like, none of this happened. We were there. None of this. These two lie about everything. None of Jacqueline's like, I'm a really good liar. And I'm like, I'm a great storyteller. Let us tell you the story about our lives. You cannot trust a thing we say. All of this is made up.
So, yeah, I feel like we have more in common with Wyatt Earp than we realize.
I do this at the end of everything, but I love this story because I really like the idea of a family like sticking together, and not just sticking together like they're on the offensive. They're like, let's go and do this together and hold it down for our family and for Tombstone. Like, I like the idea of a family like banding together to go and do something. So
and just like supporting each other even in their wrongness. They're like, hey, I'm probably just gonna hunt these human people across the Wild West. And the brother's like, you should. You deserve
and we got
this,
you.
Wyatt.
We got you, fam. Yeah, you've earned this. There's a lot of Dan in this for me. Right? Because I've said before, Dan likes being an older brother. He's just there. He likes being a protector. It's in his blood. He's the oldest brother. And anyways, it's him. And there was this time, going back into my early 20s where we were at this bar, in Tombstone. It was called the OK Corral. But no, it might as well have been. It was called Le Scratch. It was called Le Scratch, and it was in Oshawa. And we had been enjoying ourselves inside Le Scratch all night. And I came outside and there was one of Dan's friends was getting like beat up by three guys, or was in like a little bit of a scuffle with three guys. And so it's like 2 a.m. and we've been in the bar all night, and I'm like, I've got this. So I ran out there to try to help one of Dan's friends, thinking I'm the protector, right? Like, so I go in there and I'm scuffling with these guys as well. And then I hear, "That's my brother!" I'm like now on the ground, like wrestling with somebody, and this whole like fight is piling out in the parking lot of the Scratch. And Dan just runs in and no questions asked, throwing punches to some people, kicking other people, throwing people. And he's just the wild. And this is how I imagine it, because I like imagining that I'm the main character in all of these stories. So I imagine that I'm Wyatt, and Dan's like, I've got you. And Dan holsters up, throws on his chaps, grabs his best cowboy hat, and we're just out hunting down all of the people who have ever done anything to our family.
I smell next year's Halloween costume. And Dallin and Jonathan are just like the ones that were like, we did not ask for this. They are the Newtons.
No, like, Jonathan's Bat Masterson or whatever his name is. He's like, fine, guys, I'll get you out of this one again. All right. Yeah, all right. You guys are pardoned. The lawyer. He's like, I got you. Dallin's like, Newton. And Dallin's Newton.
So Dallin gets to be Newton. I like to think that they did have a sister, and right before Wyatt left town to be like, I'm never coming back to Tombstone again, he had a large piece of land that he just like signed over to his sister, who was like, I'll stay behind and reap the benefits of all of this. And I like to think that's me. I'm like, thank you.
Well, everyone else is out getting shot at, getting actually shot, or killing other human beings.
Money, please. Okay, those are the Earps, which we will now forever know as the Earps. Wyatt was one of them, but there are others.
Yeah, and the other ones I would say actually probably made it so that Wyatt could live out his days. But I still think it's crazy that he consulted on movies about him. That's so crazy to me.
What a baller move. Like, I could never.
Like, what a way to seal your legacy. Just make sure that your story is told the way that you want it.
I read one article that said Wyatt Earp might be one of like the first known anti-heroes. because he was the first to be like widely known in movies and that kind of thing, and people were like actively rooting for a person who was
for him to kill other people.
And they're like that he was like basically like the concept of the anti-hero begins with Wyatt Earp as we know it. I guess there were previous ones. But
sure. There's a little bit of William Wallace Braveheart in there, right? That scene. The scene where like he's like attacking old men while they are sleeping comfortably in their home. Like he literally
kill him.
Like smash his head. Smash his head
yourself,
in.
William.
Yep.
Okay. That's that. Another family in the books.
I'm going to download that entire thing and watch it on the plane. I'm actually lying. I won't, because I will be drawing and playing Nintendo Switch with Noah while feeding a 5-month-old.
Me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it at 2x speed, and then we will not do any fact checking at all.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't like to be fact checked.
And Wyatt's last words were,
"Give all the money to your younger sister."
All right. That brings us to what I would say is the most famous recurring part of our podcast. The only recurring part, aside from us telling stories and lying, unhinged text message from a family member. What you got?
And I think I have ours from this week when you were uploading this week's podcast, which again was the Alcatraz episode. And it's so funny to have really serious conversations about the most unserious thing, which is this podcast. And we're constantly like, we need to talk about this. It's very important. And
we need to work out the logistics. I'm sorry. What logistics? Every episode starts with, do you have your mic on? The mic's not working. Why isn't the camera working today? I don't know. I was just sleeping in a parking lot.
Let it be known that we have yet to start a podcast once in this entire journey where everything worked.
Yeah.
One of us always has a massive tech problem before we start. And then we're just like frazzled by the time we're like, okay, let's just start. Just forget it. I think it'll be fine. Let's just go. Anyway, you told me that you were exporting the week's audio and that if I had any notes that I needed to go upload them into the show notes, which I often do, but because we had like a 6-week gap between when we recorded and when it's uploaded, I'm like, yeah, I remember I had something, but I need to listen to the podcast to remember what I said I was going to put in the show notes. And you messaged me and said, okay, we said we'd put up a pic of the paper-mache heads, which is a weird thing to type. I talk about asking a girl to dance to Alanis Morissette. Ironic. We might want to add that. I said, I definitely have one of the heads. You're like, we talk about stressing about the DMV. Anyway, this one's good. Lots of tangents. And I said, the more tangents, the better. And that was our Unhinged podcast. That was our...
Well, it is our Unhinged podcast. It is our Unhinged podcast. Let's leave that in.
Good. Leave it in. It's our Unhinged podcast. And also, just to cue you guys in on the serious inner workings of
the preparation.
What we're talking about, and how one day, again, we will be put on a list one day, because we're just talking about, like, you have the picture of the heads, right? Like, I do. They're on my hard drive. I'll upload them in a minute. Because
there was something else I said about, now my Unhinged text is me. I was like, oh, no, I said, the draft is there at the post. The draft is there at the notes in a post. I grabbed the music video and a pic of the head from the FBI website.
but originally it autocorrected to trapped.
I trapped the music video and a pic of the head from the FBI website. And I had to like autocorrect. I mean, I had to correct myself like 4 messages later. I'm like, actually, I meant to say
And then
grabbed.
I was like, none of these sentences have ever been said before.
To which I responded, ha ha ha, we're pushing the boundaries of what it is to be human.
And then I also, let's keep going. And then I said that I like trapped. And I said, I like trapped more. It sounds like when we used to say we were ripping MP3. I like to think we were technology cowboys back in the day.
Just like the Earps. Tracking people down and murdering them, but not at all. We didn't do any of those things.
Just trapping things from the FBI website and ripping MP3s.
After this week's episode, so we pushed out the Alcatraz episode, and we had been talking about the mini putt, the mini golf place, and we were trying to figure out if Pickering Playing Field still existed, and it had this plane that was staged to look like it crashed into
Mm-hmm.
the mini golf course, which I always thought was a little bit
clearly pre 9/11.
Yeah, yeah, like to have that. But you were taking like you were on Google Earth and sending me screenshots of Google Earth, or I guess it's Google Maps, and you were like zooming in to show like at least on Google Maps they still have the plane crashed into the course. And then one of my friends from elementary school and high school, she had commented on Facebook being like, "Oh, it's still there. It's all condos around there. It's still there." And I was like, well, then the clock is ticking.
I love the boots on the ground that we have out there. Like our people who are doing the hard
Crispies
work.
out there just.
Crispies are like, I'll get you a picture of it right now if you want.
So I've got, if it's not too cold when we're there, which is very easy to not happen. I was going to say, if it's not too cold, which it will be, let's go mini golfing.
Why don't we? I was also telling kids I want to go to the old sledding hill that we used to go to.
At the lake?
Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I don't want to bring all of our winter clothes because I don't want to pack that much. But I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if we all went to Goodwill and dressed up in whatever winter clothes you could find and went sledding like it was like 1997? That would be great. But we have to dress up in the clothes we would have worn then. And
then donate it back to Goodwill the very next day. We're like, hey, here you go. Can we rent these?
You're welcome.
Can we rent these instead of purchase these?
A true Canadian would never, but we're from out of town.
I'm going to use that so many times. I'm going to be like, I forget. I live in Japan. I forget how all of this works.
What's the English word for it?
I'm going to do it so much. I'm going to do it so much. I forget because I live in Japan how to speak English.
What's the, oh, yes, timbits. That's the correct word.
Just the tips? Just the tips?
Hey, when I'm not expecting it, you can't just say it.
I can't just...
No, you can't. You really can't. Oh my God.
All right. Well, as always, this was a good one. Thank you for preparing in advance so thoughtfully and carefully and thoroughly. Like, let's just be honest. You thoroughly prepared for this. You have notes. You do research. I know that you're the one
6 hours of Netflix documentaries.
You are doing the heavy lifting in this podcast. I just show up several minutes after sleeping in a parking lot and dial in.
Just know that I only do this because A, I like to control things, but B, because I don't want to edit this podcast.
All right. Well, we will see. No, we won't. We will chat again next week.